Good evening, Des Moines. Welcome to the Doc and Lefty program here on webcast1live.com.
Our social media person says that we should be referring people to docandlefty.com.
Hey, you know what? But that's a good point. We broadcast live on webcast1live.com if you want to pick up everything else we do, or that Doc does, carrying along the lifeless carcass that is. You know, you screwed up the whole intro.
I'm sorry.
You should wait.
No. Well, I had other things on my mind. I meant to say it.
Yeah. Well, we should have saved that for the next couple of minutes because now the whole show is going to be screwed up.
We'll restart.
And I was going. No, it's too late. It's too late now. We're in it. We might as well just do it. I had a good one for you today too. I was going to say that because we're always bringing you the perspectives you love from the sides you hate, and that today, sitting with me across the table, my partner in crime, his 2014 campaign slogan is "Impeach, baby, impeach." Patrick Bertroche. Doc, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, except I will tell you, this is how the show goes. This is how it goes. Anyway, we have, and just to show you exactly how this show is going to go, we walk in, no producer, and so Maddie's over here going like, "Yeah, it's me tonight." And we're like, "Good." We're happy with that. You know,
we can roll with whatever.
And there she is smiling. Man, you know how many times Frank ever smiles when he's back there?
Well, it's because you can't remember his name. That's the whole. I mean,
well, you know, I try. That's true. I call him George sometimes. So he gets mad. He goes, "It's Ryan."
Yeah.
No, I thought it was Frank.
Anyway,
I'm all psyched up for this week's show because, honest to goodness, I'm getting to the point where anytime I can take a poke at the Republican establishment, that's what I'm going to do, because these guys are doing more to destroy the Republican Party than anybody on the left can ever do. And it's a comedy of errors. I don't recall the Democrats collapsing like this during the Reagan years.
1984. No, good grief. Well, Michael Dukakis. That was a pretty tough time.
Not this level of infighting and being able to go, well, hey, listen, we don't ever want to win another national election, so let's make sure our incumbents are protected. So anyway, I'm all psyched up for this. Want to say thanks for Maddie for stepping in today for Frank. And I see that you've worn your green shirt again today. So I'm hoping that Maddie will come up with all kinds of cool stuff to stick right there on your shirt.
I want a McCain Palin button. If we can work that out, I want to McCain. Right? You know what? It's not fading away too bad into the background. I must say.
No.
That's one thing that are not what was that?
Yeah.
Okay, great, good deal. So back to the actual show at hand. We got a number of things that we wanted to talk about, but I know that you've been itching all week to sink your righteous jaws into John Boehner's figurative backside.
Yes, and that's and he's the number one guy that I can't stomach the guy. And
what's he done? What's he done this last week that's got you so up in
let's just go through one.
Yep.
We're going to start out the next segment because we got to take a break already. Because apparently when we were just jawing back and forth, time flies.
Yes.
So I'm going to talk about he's an idiot, and then two, I'm going to talk about the shakeup in the House and how that's going to affect any work that they may potentially do after Christmas or after summer, and impeachment. And talk of impeachment and how that doesn't help us, and it doesn't do anything for us, and doesn't solidify our position anywhere. And instead of just defunding Obamacare, why Republicans are not going to defund Obamacare, and why they're just going to try to continue to sue them. And so that's what is up for our lineup. You can catch us on docandlefty.com. Of course, we are here at webcast1live.com, but if you go to our site, it's a direct link. You just catch us. YouTube, we have a YouTube channel, Doc and Lefty, Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus, and all kinds of things. And we'll be back right after this break. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, especially our sponsors.
Bertroche & Associates, how can I help you?
Bertroche & Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. I've got the conservative limp mic today. Limp because of their
it's over on the liberal side.
It's in their inability to pass any kind of meaningful legislation or agree about whether the sky is blue, if the sky being blue is a liberal plot because the sky is actually red. That's the level of infighting that the Republican Party has.
So this is kind of like your spine. You're equating the microphone boom to the Republican spine.
Basically, yeah. And I don't think that you're going to disagree too much about that.
Yeah, not now. There's some Republicans got plenty of spine. Right?
Well, there's a difference between spine and misplaced optimism. Well, yeah.
Well, first of all, let's start out with why John Boehner's an idiot.
Yeah, go ahead. Because when this popped up on the rundown, I was intrigued because he's been he came out with the whole lawsuit thing. They voted on it, the last week before this past weekend. Yeah. The last thing they did before their August recess because, why not?
Because they scattered.
Yeah, and but so obviously he's been pretty quiet about everything else. But I mean, this kind of landed with a thud.
Well, I don't even know how to separate all the issues. So I'm just going to start with the first one where, he's an idiot. Here he is with a Republican Congress. All right. And not by a little bit, by a dominating margin. Doesn't matter what happens. He's going to be able to pass whatever legislation he wants through the House. That's all there is to it. So last week, Lefty hit it right on the head. And this is sad. If your liberal friend has to go, I can help John Boehner out. This is what you do, right? How come John Boehner isn't putting together these bills and saying, listen, this is our purview. This is what we do as Congress. This is what our constitutional obligation is. So let's get it passed. Let's pass this. Now, if the Senate wants to vote it down, fine. They can vote it down, and then we'll send another one. And then they can vote that one down. Bury them in paper, I think, is the phrase you used last week. The same thing here. So his mucking around, and here's Eric Cantor, who got defeated by the Tea Party, who came up, was supposed to be a hot young Turk, and everything else. And here Boehner find him. Well, you just step in line. You get in line. You wait. Maybe you'll get the gavel someday. And that's really what happened. Well, these guys fell down on the conservative job.
Well, let me ask you about this. Is that to me sounds a lot more like how the political operation in both parties was run for time immemorial. You had your young leadership. You had young leadership roles. You had your whips. You had your majority leaders. You had everybody down the line who all walked in pretty much. I mean, it's politics, so you don't have uniformity perfectly all the way, but who walked in fair lockstep with the leadership and the speaker, and kudos to you if you had both houses, and so then the speaker and the majority leader over in the Senate could be together on pretty much everything. And it was always, it's especially in the last 30 years, it's news if that doesn't happen, but especially in 2006, and especially in 2000 and continuing on in 2008 with the rise of the Tea Party, you've seen that old school leadership, a guy like Tom Latham, right? Yeah. Rank and file means something, and it's not just an easy descriptor of the lower members or the lower authority members of the House of Representatives. These are the guys that walk with the leadership, that are in rank and file behind the leadership on everything, and that's kind of how, when Congress is more functional, Congress works. You have your debate, but you have your coalition that you've put together, and you get your legislation passed with your coalition.
Absolutely.
The Tea Party wing that was uniformly embraced by everybody in public. John Boehner may not have liked him in private. I don't know. I haven't picked his brain.
Well, everybody liked the Tea Party because they were the only people besides the Christian conservatives with any money.
And with energy.
You know? Yes, absolutely.
With energy and the electoral energy to give them the win in 2010. Here's the point I'm trying to make, and I'll get you back to your point. Did the Tea Party so fundamentally disrupt the tastemakers, if you will, disrupt how tastes were made in Washington for the Republicans, that now you have a old school leader who took his time, who came up the ranks, who followed in the footsteps of Newt Gingrich and Denny Hastert and all those guys.
Absolutely.
Is that where we're at? Is that the reason?
It's been a very slow decay for the leadership to go from where they stood for fiscal responsibility, job creation, independence, responsibility, to we're just going to, what we're arguing over is how much socialism we're going to have. That's been a slow slide for the Republican Party. Do you think it?
But see, I don't think it's about the message.
Well, give me a second on this.
Yeah.
The Tea Party did disrupt that. I mean, I have said, how many times have I said the Republican Party is like Napoleon from Animal Farm? They're all now sitting at the table with the humans, right? And if you've read Animal Farm, you'll get the reference. The bottom line is the Tea Party went in there and said, listen, what we're going to focus on is taxes, jobs, personal responsibility, and less government. That's what we're going to focus on. That had been a Republican mantra ever since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Now you have George Bush spend it. I mean, everybody went, geez, George Bush spent the most money in history. Well, that's a Republican president with a Republican Congress and Senate. That isn't what I signed up for. That was the birth of the Tea Party. And yeah, it has disrupted them because it makes them go back, makes Republicans go back and face their grassroots effort.
Well, I guess, is it really about the message though? Because you keep, not you, but Republicans keep throwing up this fiscal responsibility, fiscal sanity, personal responsibility stuff against the wall, and election after election, it doesn't take. In the more recent elections,
and so they don't have the moral authority to even talk about it.
Is that the problem?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% with that.
Is that from the Congress from 2001 to 2003, and then with the wars after that, and after in 04, 05, 06, bankrupted the Republicans more. I mean, it used to be. Here's where I would kind of subscribe to what you're trying to say. Or what you are saying. Sorry, that was dismissive. That's not what I meant to do.
Well, I'm used to that from the left.
Well, it's not without warrant.
Yeah.
So, but it used to be an old liberal friend of mine who is as liberal gets. She used to live on a farm back in the 60s and 70s as a hippie. That was what she wanted to do. Took herself out of the culture for a while, came back, became a really successful lawyer, and is still a Democrat, obviously, and says, back in the old days, you had the liberals, the Democrats in Congress were sort of the ideas people, the progressive minded sort of, hey, we're coming up with new directions to take the country, or we're responding to crises in a creative sort of way. But it was the Republicans you needed because they watched the purse strings. They had the pocketbook in mind, and you needed both those sides to have an effective government. You had to have newer ideas, and you had to have folks with the purse strings. Now, Republicans nowadays, they claim to have the purse strings, but they also have the torch in the right hand. They're going to burn the whole government down.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, after we get done with the break, we're going to continue on with the Republican moral high ground and how it's crumbling, what the Tea Party is doing to try to correct that, and the ongoing fiasco of Republican leadership in regards to Obamacare. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Bertroshan Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Halo Capital, and Des Moines Anesthesia. Make sure to check us all out on our websites. Des Moines Anesthesia has a new number. Hopefully, Maddie will get that up there sometime during the show. We'll be back right after this break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
See them here, see them there. You got bad credit? We don't care.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com. Visit emetroford.com today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around for the first few segments here on DocandLefty.com. Sure is great to have you all listening around the world and around the country, and checking out our presence on social media, Facebook, Twitter, DocandLefty.com, YouTube, Google Plus. I guess we're on that too. A few platforms. We're hoping to have a great 2015. Anyway,
Absolutely.
Anyway, we're talking about one of my favorite subjects: why the Republican Party just can't seem to get its act together. And we have some, and my cohort here, Doc Bertrosh, is particularly incensed with how John Boehner's handled these last few months. And it's, to me, like I said, Doc, it's got to be more. It's got to be more than just the message. That's the problem. And I don't think the Tea Party here. Actually, let me toss it to you this way: you say that the Tea Party is trying to correct course to the Republican Party. I think the Tea Party is the problem. Why are they the solution?
Well, first, I guess my question would be: most liberals I talk to always say that the Tea Party is the problem. And I think it's my opinion about why liberals think the Tea Party is a problem is because they are the core that are bringing back fiscal responsibility, less taxation, less government. Liberals don't stand for that. In fact, today there's an article about how the Democrats are trying to sponsor a bill in California to help pay for Pampers. And it's like, at what point, I mean, why don't you just, I mean, honest to goodness, it's like watching Wall-E. These guys floating around on these chairs, you know, having all their needs met, not doing anything. That's what liberalism, that's the end point of socialism. And you don't get freedom that way. That's what the Tea Party is focused on.
Socialism. That's not socialism, but go ahead.
Well, the Tea Party is not socialism, but having everything taken care of for you by the government certainly is socialistic.
No, socialistic. Socialism is the selective management of certain means of industry by the government, because the government can do it more efficiently. Think utilities, for example. We have private utilities, but governments grant monopolies to allow certain utilities to operate in certain areas of the country. It's certainly not a free market. That's a socialistic enterprise, and we do that because the overhead for energy utilities is so high and the costs are so unpredictable that we don't want a lot of competition flooding the marketplace. I mean, so the military, another example of a socialistic regime, right?
Well, but the military is constitutional. Anyway, the bottom line is
the Constitution doesn't guarantee a capitalistic form of government.
Why do you think the Tea Party is a problem? Why do you think the Tea Party is?
I'll answer that question after you. Right. I didn't mean to interrupt you. No. But just for people out there, the Constitution does not guarantee a capitalist economy. Go ahead.
Well, and I agree, because it's supposed to be power to the people. And when you have more government, you have less power to the people. That's all there is to it. Anyway, the Tea Party is the ones is actually holding the Republican leadership accountable. I mean, look at what happened to Cantor. They had to go, the people down in Louisiana, I can't remember the race now, but it was, all I got is Brat in my head. But anyway, the Republicans went out, smear campaigned the Tea Party candidate, accused him of racism, and recruited the Democrats to help beat him.
Oh, you're talking about Thad Cochran in Mississippi.
Yeah, that's right.
With McFadden. Yeah.
So
Bratson, the guy that beat Cantor in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so unbelievable. You have Republican leadership doing this to its own Party members.
No, it's a primary. I mean, that's...
What, to actually go out and have the Republican National Committee do a smear campaign accusing the other person of racism and trying to recruit Democrats to vote for?
I don't think
for
did the
yeah, there's
that?
flyers out there linked directly to Thad Cochran and directly to the Republican National Committee.
Reince Priebus did that. Reince Priebus loved that guy McFadden.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm going to tell you, it was ugly and nasty, and there's plenty of information out there. The Tea Party candidates are really running a hard campaign against a lot of the incumbents. The Republican incumbents are all doing the same kind of stuff. Scorched earth, you know, a lot of innuendo and the rest. And I understand it's a primary, but this just goes back to, you know, listen, we've had two campaigns, the 2010 congressional campaign and the 2014 Senate and congressional campaign, where nobody was attacking each other like this. Nobody. They all got up there. They said their thing. Nobody was unpleasant to each other.
Oh, you mean here in Iowa?
Here in Iowa. Maybe it's just because it's Iowa politics and Republic, but they're not following Reagan's 11th commandment. So therefore, the Tea Party needs to be destroyed, according to what the Republican establishment has said, because they're forcing them back to their roots, to their freedom roots, to their less taxation roots, to the rest of the things we talked about earlier. So I guess my question is back to you. Why do the Democrats think the Tea Party's a problem?
Well, why do I think? I don't speak for Democrats.
Oh, well, you're the local liberal.
Sure, right. But why I think that the problem is, you know, for some of what you said, but primarily because I don't think that they're getting back to any level of sanity, quote unquote, at all. I think that that the Tea Party, as to the extent that you say they stand for liberty and the core values of the Republican Party, I don't think the Tea Party really stands for anything. When the Tea Party in its earliest formations was out there, they were screaming about government waste. While if you remember this is a well-trod anecdote at this point. They were screaming about government waste at the same time they were saying, "And keep your hands off my Medicare." That level of just generalized dissatisfaction with government has not changed appreciably. They've picked up wins in 2010. They've picked up wins in 2012. They had a lot of bad losses in 2012 too. They picked up some wins here in the early stages of 2014, and it'll be interesting to see how those candidates do in the general election. Because remember, it's been the going trend has been more often the Tea Party candidate loses in the general election than they've won, except for I believe in 2010 when they first came on board in the wave. That was how it went down. When I call them the problem is they are the folks that the Republican establishment is so scared of that legislation just dies a slow death on the roadside. The reason we don't have comprehensive immigration reform is because of the Tea Party. The reason we don't have didn't have a farm bill for the longest time that really was worrying a lot of farmers around here in Iowa because of the Tea Party. The reason that we don't have the emergency funding for the kids on the border is because of the Tea Party. Issue after issue after issue in this country is stalled and is hung up. Sure, some of that happens in because the Senate can't do anything. The Senate has been worse than the House of Representatives for a longer period of time because of the filibuster. I wouldn't argue that. But for all the issues that are originating in the House, those big key issues that the country needs to face and needs to do something with, either in a conservative way or a liberal way, one way something has to be done one way or the other. They're not getting done because the Tea Party is standing up and saying, no, we're not going to let anything happen because it's not exactly what we want 100% of the way.
Well, but now I'm not a Tea Party favorite kind of guy, right?
And you don't speak of the Tea Party.
And I don't speak for the Tea Party, but I am going to take issue with what Lefty just said at the end. I don't think things are getting blocked by the Tea Party in there because there are financial conservatives that aren't social conservatives that are in Congress. There are people that are Christian conservatives and financial conservatives that are part of Congress and they are all voting in a large block against the Republican establishment that is simply kowtowing to whatever the liberals throw out there. Well, we want $1 billion here for this. We want a couple of trillion here for that.
But
at some point you have to go, well, hold on, enough's enough. Well, there's a solid block of fiscal conservatives, not just the Tea Party.
Here is the example that kind of I would point out that flies in the face of that 100%. The emergency funding for the kids on the border, the president came out with like $3.4 billion or something, which in the grand scheme of our GDP and the other spending bills that we have passed is a drop in the bucket. The Senate came out and said something a little like around 2 or something, like shaved $1 billion off. I believe the House came out and said, yeah, we'll give you your money. It's a couple $100 million. It was less than $1 billion, right? Like way less than $1 billion. And that was direct. And so that level of just, no one's on the same page. No one's even recognizes the severity of the problem, except that everybody recognizes there is a problem. If you go to each one of those people or one of those blocks, let's say it's all a monolith. The House speaks in one voice, the Senate speaks in one voice, and the president, right? All three of those voices agree. We need more judges. We need more more folks on the border, more processing folks. We need more facilities up and running which would serve the dual purpose of taking care of kids while they're here and getting them processed, and some who back home, which is what everybody kind of wants.
Yeah, without bringing them into the middle of America, right? I think we talked about this the other day. So we have to take a break, but we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We want to thank our sponsor, Bertrosian Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Halo Capital, and of course, oh my goodness, Des Moines Anesthesia. That's there's their new number.
Yep, we got it.
Yeah, so give them a call. They deal a lot with pain management, and if you have any kind of surgeries or any procedures you need, make sure one of these people is your anesthesiologist. We're going to be back right after this break. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and go hit Doc and Lefty in our YouTube channel. We'll be back right after this break. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Bertrosian Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertrosianassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertroche and Associates.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We're breezed through the first half hour, pretty much like always, and this is pretty much how talking to a conservative about politics goes. The first half hour, you're so just kind of floored by the fact that they can even
by the common sense
they can even form sentences
that floods out into them.
They can even form sentences, but then the second half hour is a grind. And so what I've noticed
because now you're like, wow, maybe the conservatives were right. They're making so much sense. I can't hardly stand
exactly to the opposite of what I would actually say. But no, all joking aside, that we've been talking about this, but it wasn't just John Boehner that you were taking issue with. You're also taking issue with, as a lot of conservatives are, about this whole impeachment kerfuffle that keeps kind of bubbling up. Well, actually, do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about the lawsuit first? Because they kind of tie themselves together.
Yeah, they kind of do. I don't know. I'm just going to outline this impeachment thing that keeps coming up. And I don't know who said it first. King just got done saying it again last week, right? But somebody mentioned an impeachment here about 3-4 weeks ago. Like, he's overstepped his bounds. And part of this is fed by a lot of the Supreme Court decisions that reverse a lot of the executive decisions that Obama has done.
Not a lot of them. They reversed a couple recently.
Virtually every one of them.
No, that's not true.
It is true.
No, it's not.
Anyway, That's what's given.
Okay.
I'm telling you, almost everything that has been challenged. There have been some things that have gotten past the Supreme Court, but a lot of the things that Obama has done through executive order has been, challenged and reversed.
I can think of one right now off the top of my head.
What that got through?
No, that got overturned because they of an overly specific reading of the law.
Well,
the state exchange issue.
But it still got overturned.
Right, but that's not a lot. That's one.
Well,
what?
That isn't what the segment's about.
We're going down a rabbit hole. I apologize.
What we're doing is what we did when we were arguing with each other out in the street.
Yes.
So,
my God.
We were still street children at one point.
Yes. You talk about last week. You almost had to call the cops because they're getting so mad at you. But no, finish your thought. I'm sorry. Finish your thought. I'm wearing a blazer. I'm professional.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt, so I feel like I'm in the office.
Right.
So anyway, that's been the impetus for look at how the Supreme Court's overturned a lot of these decisions or a lot of these laws and executive orders that Obama has done. That's what's driving this. And so they're saying, well, hold on, if you step that far out of bounds and everything else, and you try to bypass Congress and has made no secret of bypassing Congress and the Senate, then that should be grounds for impeachment. One, there's no grounds for impeachment of what Obama has done. He is allowed to do executive orders. He's allowed to do that. He is allowed to try to stimulate the legislature to do what it's supposed to do. And he hasn't done anything that, don't get me wrong, there's always gray areas. He might have stepped outside the law, but there isn't anything intentional here, which is what you have to rise to for impeachment.
High crimes, misdemeanors.
There you go. And he hasn't done that. He has not done that. So when we start talking about, we're going to impeach an unimpeachable president at this point, something may come up, I don't know. But at this point, I'm looking at this going, one, all this is going to do is distract from you guys actually doing something somewhere for the American people, number one. And number two, there isn't anything there really to impeach. And that number three, all they're going to do is use it to raise billions of dollars for their reelection.
Here is you know what? I got to step in here because I love this whole fake problem that has popped up, and I'm going to call it a fake problem.
And that's exactly right.
Here's kind of a brief history of impeachment. Okay,
brief, under a minute.
Way under a minute.
All right.
How many presidents have we had impeached in this in the entire history of the Union?
I think it's 3.
It is 3. Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton,
Richard
Nixon. Those are the 3.
And they all 3 had some high crimes and misdemeanors.
Well, Clinton, we'll see. But in the modern era, because Andrew Johnson, the Congress
was a long time ago.
They were mad at him. But the Nixon and Clinton, media superstorms, fundraising out of the nether regions of fundraising. The Democrats made so much money off the Clinton impeachment. It's not even funny. You were surprised at this point about how they could have lost the 2000 election coming off that impeachment. Hugely unpopular. It has made the Republicans gun-shy ever since then. This whole impeachment, sure, you have folks like Michelle Bachmann out there. You have folks like Sarah Palin out there, and the venerable righteous Stephen R. King of Sioux City out there talking about impeachment. They're not, maybe a couple of those people out of that trilogy mean it seriously, but you know what they do when and this is why the liberals and MSNBC have used the word impeachment. Probably, and Nate still read an article. You want to check it out on the 538 blog over on ESPN. Great article about this. They've used it probably 3 to 4 times more than conservatives or the folks in Fox News, which is just exactly the same as it was back in 2004 when the conservatives created. No Democrat was talking impeachment of President Bush in a serious way anywhere in the country. But impeachment starts kind of bubbling up to the surface about what's going on in Iraq, what's going on in Afghanistan, and all of a sudden it's impeach President Bush right before the 2004 election. John Kerry comes in and just gets steamrolled. It's the same sort of thing here. Basically, what those Republicans did is they wrote a $2.2 million check, because I think that's what the fundraising is up to at this point, to the Democratic National Committee. They signed it. They paid to the order of the impeachment fund Democrats and signed it over, and the Democrats are laughing all the way to the bank.
Now, what I have read, and this is out of the Wall Street Journal, is that they are estimating that in the first week after the first mention of impeachment, when Obama went out and gave a speech, that the Democratic National Committee raised almost $12 million.
Yeah.
And that's a bump from what they usually do. I think they said it's $8 million more than they would have expected in a normal. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're not helping us. And the thing is you have Steve King come out and reiterate it. Mm-hmm. That doesn't help either. At least beforehand, we could say, hey, listen, these guys, you're taking it out of context, or whatever you wanted to say.
Or these are the cranks that you guys don't listen to, so what's the problem?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I didn't want to say it that way, but yeah,
I'll say Steve King is a crank. I'll say it to his face.
And then there's Steve King, who really does wield quite a bit of power in the House, saying, yeah, I think there's grounds. And you're like, all you're doing is allowing them to raise more money than ever. And that is the one advantage that the Republicans have, is that they can consistently raise money.
For Democrats.
And now it's for Democrats. You're right. It doesn't matter what party you're in. We're going to be right back after this break, and we're going to talk again about, we're going to introduce Boehner back into the discussion a little bit about why they're going to sue President Obama to enforce Obamacare rather than just defunding it. I have an interesting insight on it. And of course, Lefty will go, geez, that's a weird conspiracy theory kind of thing. But I think it plays out. We'll be back right after the break. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Doc and Lefty, Facebook, Google Plus, and all kinds of stuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Be right back.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We were just kind of finishing. I got one final point on impeachment. You hear the Republicans are citing the old Democratic line of, hey, we've got impeachment here, but it's a false flag argument that the Democrats are actually. Now, I don't believe that, and I think the record is borne out by this. The Democrats didn't create this thing. You guys shot yourself in the foot with it by even bringing it up. But the Democrats are playing the cynical political game by running with it, calling, that, oh my gosh, you have John McCain and John Boehner and Lindsey Graham all on a Tea Party session slathering at the mouth about impeachment. That's not happening, folks. This is a political stunt. It's used by both parties. This time the Republicans are on the back end of it. That being said, I don't think it's going to make much difference. I think the Republicans are going to win the Senate 2014.
Really?
I do.
Why do you think that?
Because the numbers just don't work out.
Oh, yeah?
You think about it, I believe that there are, because what is it, 45 seats? Do they have 45 seats right? No, 46.
We need 6 seats.
You need 6 seats to get 51.
Yes.
So they have 45 right now. So I was right.
Yeah.
They have 45 seats right now. They need 6. Give up on Montana and South Dakota as surefire wins for the Republicans, and now they only need 4. Out of the 11 toss-up seats out there that are considered toss-ups in this go-around, there's 11. 9 of them are Democratic seats to lose. The numbers they just don't work.
Yeah, well, the other thing is Democrats are great at getting people that are dead and illegal to go out and vote. And, that's the advantage the Democrats have. Republicans raise money. Democrats can go out and get people that are dead on to go vote.
Hey, whatever works.
Yes, absolutely. So and I do believe that the Republicans, if they get their stuff together, can win. But as we've seen, the Republican establishment is very good about screwing ourselves. All right. They don't like grassroots efforts. Yeah. They don't like strong conservative people. They like people that are going to go in and rubber stamp stuff, just like Lefty had pointed out a little in the last segment. Here's why. When you're talking about Napoleon the Pig sitting at the table, what you have is these people get out there and, another one. See, here you go. Here's my non-paid sponsorship again this week. So what you have is John Boehner getting up there, and he's saying, I'm going to sue President Obama and make him enforce the exactitude of the law of Obamacare. For what reason, I have no idea. He's going to go up there. He's going to waste millions of dollars in these lawsuits. He's going to waste millions of dollars that could go to political races, so we could. It's just going to go out the door.
And in an unrelated announcement, I'm moving to Washington D.C. and taking a job with a high-powered Washington firm.
Who is? Nathan?
I am.
Oh, why?
To get me some of that lawsuit money.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh my God, you caught me. Geez. So
I heard they needed a psychiatrist.
I'd be out there in a second.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But the bottom line is here is Boehner, and he's going to spend millions of dollars, maybe even billions of dollars, to sue Obama to make sure he gets it exactly the way it's supposed to be, right? And that way he can show everybody exactly how terrible Obamacare is and sit there and not do anything about it. That's the trick. He's not doing anything about it, really. He's just making a political circus out there, and he's going to make Obama, face up. We get back to the point Lefty made last week, bury the president in paper. You can defund it. You can say, well, listen, here's our budget. There you go. And put it onto the Senate, Democrats and say, there you go. There's our budget. Shoot it down and send the same budget back every single time. Say, we're not going to fund Obamacare. We're not going to do it. Now, you may ask, well, why don't they do it? Here's Boehner's excuse. Well, geez, I don't think the Senate wants that. That's not your constitutional purview. Your purview is to make sure that budget gets out of the House to the Senate for approval. That's what you're supposed to do. Go do it. Why doesn't he want to just sit there and defund it? This is what the truth is. These people can do insider trading. They can, what they actually do is they create bills that will affect the stock market and bet one way or another, depending on how that bill is going to go through Congress. If you ever wonder how a guy who's broke gets into Congress or the Senate and 3 years later he's buying $1 million house, that's how they do it. The Republicans and the Democrats too have already placed their bets on who's going to be the winners and losers in the stock market when Obamacare comes along. They get a pretty good idea of which way the court's going to vote. That's why it was such a surprise and irritated everybody in Congress when John Roberts said, well, yeah, it's a tax. You can do whatever you want. That's because everybody thought, they're going to vote it down 5-4 and be done, right? That's how they bet. Millions of dollars lost for them. Now, strangely enough, they voted that ability to buy on insider trading. They voted that out. And then in February, I think it was 2013, they said, yeah, we can do it again. That's what they did. That's why he's not going to defund it, because everybody out there that's sitting at the table with Napoleon has already made their bets in the stock market, have already picked the winners and losers, and they're going to lose money if they defund it. That's one of the reasons. We talk about Ted Cruz and how worthless his filibuster was.
That wasn't a filibuster, but go ahead.
Well, what he did,
unlimited time. I don't know.
Yes, whatever it was. Everybody was mad at him. Even the hardcore Republicans said, geez, not the hardcore, but the establishment Republicans are going like, that's a bad idea. The reason he did it is to say, listen, enough is enough, and rules and laws need to change to more accurately reflect things that will help everyday Americans. And I can tell you at this point, I used to think that Republicans help the average guy, right? I always thought that. And I'm going to tell you, in the last 20 years, that hasn't been true of the Republican Party, and it's definitely not true of the Democratic Party. And I'm going to tell you, that's why they're not going to defund it. They have too much of their own personal money at stake. Now, with that, I got to sign off to the commercial. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Lubinas Law Firm, Bertrosha & Associates, Halo Capital, and Des Moines Anesthesia. Check out, there's their number. Check them out. Check out our websites. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Doc and Lefty. What's the other one? Google+. And we'll be back right after this break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Bertrosha & Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertroshandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertroche & Associates.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We got one final segment. We got one more opportunity. If you guys want to call in, we've got the number here at the studio. It is 888, I believe. 855-244-0077. Got it. 855-244-0077. I couldn't remember if the phone number had 10 digits in it or not. That I always get messed up with this particular show and whether it's got 9 or 10, because you know how common 9 digits in a phone number are. Anyway, all that aside, I'm gonna let Doc's last comments kind of hang out there for everybody to listen to and maybe digest, and then go out and do some of your own. Here at Doc and Lefty, we don't bring the journalism to you.
You bring the journalism to us.
We set the conditions.
I'm telling you, I promise you. I promise you, if you look up what they can do that's legal for them but illegal for us, you will find it right out there.
Well, I'm not making a comment about whether or not what you said is accurate. What I'm saying is we set out the parameters and give you the tools you need to succeed at a career that you didn't think that you were going to have before you sat down and listened to an hour of this show. But so good luck to you is basically what I'm saying. But we have one issue that I know you want to follow up with about this lawsuit. This lawsuit is something that the Republicans didn't need to do. It's something that John Boehner certainly I can't imagine that a team player like John Boehner, who's going to go along with it because that's what his caucus wants, but certainly this isn't something he's going to think up all by himself. That this wasn't his baby, right? But you got to think, and I'm going to use a sports analogy here, so bear with me. When your favorite team, one of my favorite baseball team is the Chicago Cubs. Okay, when the Chicago Cubs send off an expensive, and they haven't done this in a long time because they don't have the assets, but send off an expensive free agent to another team, and another team snaps that player up, and the Cubs fans all kind of laugh up their sleeves and say, "Hey, good luck, San Diego. God bless you." You know there's probably a problem with your acquisition. When you come out with something that sounds as serious as a lawsuit of the President of the United States, and the President of the United States uses it in a barnstorming tour around the country and laughs up his sleeve at you, you know there's probably something wrong with the merits of your lawsuit. That's my first point. My second point is this. I find it interesting. Now, I haven't read any of the document. We don't do journalism here. We just give you the sides or the perspectives you love from the sides you hate.
Yeah, opinion.
Right. But I have a general understanding that this is a lawsuit brought by the House of Representatives, by the entire House of Representatives. I can't imagine that the House Republicans as a caucus would sue the president, because I don't know what standing they would have. I got to think that it's the entire House of Representatives, right? Because you need standing to bring any kind of lawsuit.
Well,
so I don't know who the parties are necessarily.
What I read is it's just John Boehner. That's what I read. And then it's like everybody can jump in as a class action. That's what I read in the Wall Street Journal last week.
Once again, I don't know how that necessarily, where his standing for Obamacare would come from, because if he's doing it as a citizen of the United States, you don't have standing to sue the government to enforce laws. You just don't. One of the only things you can do is sue the government. It would be like suing. It's like suing the government for taxing you, for example. Hey, I don't want the government to enforce its tax laws against me, so I'm going to sue them and make them stop. Can't do that. The government, the Supreme Court said can't do that kind of stuff. So I don't know what sort of standing he has, but I also find it interesting that, remember back when it was passed in 2009, 2010, remember it was passed?
Yeah.
And the big stink the Republicans made about how it was passed through the House of Representatives without a single Republican vote. It was a straight party line vote that got it through the House of Representatives. How can the party let's assume they have standing to bring the lawsuit. What are the merits of the lawsuit? How can the party that didn't vote for it credibly argue that it needs to be enforced the way that the other side wrote it and that the other side passed it? It just,
yes.
And I mean, it's still that argument. That's not a real argument, because that, we all have to abide by the laws and whatever. And we're all bound by them. But I find that fascinating that the party that had no hand in crafting the legislation is going to be darn sure that legislation gets enforced down to the decimal point and comma of the legislation they didn't author.
Yeah, and I've already said this. It's a ridiculous approach. Now, this is from the Wall Street Journal. The House, verbatim, House lawmakers voted Wednesday to authorize Speaker John Boehner to file suit against President Barack Obama.
Is it in his individual capacity or in his capacity as a House representative?
That's what I just reread the article, and that's what it sounds like. And the thing is because
possible.
They had I can't see the number quite, but it's around 200 people voted against it. So how can you bring a lawsuit regarding the entire House if almost half of them said no? And that's one thing. Two, and the article points it out. How is Obama harmed? I mean, where's that? Like what Dad always said, where's the money?
Where's damages?
Yeah, where's your
Gotta
damages?
have some damages.
And so the bottom line is I think it's just going to be John Boehner is how I'm reading it, because I just got done reading it while you were talking. Mm-hmm. And so it's just ridiculous honest to goodness, I saw a meme the other day. I think my friend Jim Leach put it up. Republicans helping get Democrats elected for the last 20 years. Honest to goodness, this is nothing more than a political stunt. It's a way to maybe motivate the base, but you're motivating the wrong base, John Boehner. You're alienating people like me, just like Mitt Romney did when he ran. You cannot alienate your base. You cannot alienate the people who are saying, we want to give money to the Republicans. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. A.J. Spiker is a terrific example on a state level. He alienated the Christians that had money, and the Republican Party of Iowa is teetering on bankruptcy. Honest to goodness, I don't even think they have 10 grand left, right? And at the beginning of his tenure, he had like 600,000. That's what happens when you alienate your base, and you can't do that. And that's what the Republican establishment is doing. And it's just not going to pan out for them.
And that's your position. My position is that unless the Republicans do some soul searching and adjust their message, they're going to have a hard time in national politics. The message itself, something stinks in the message. It's not in the delivery. It's not in who you motivate to vote. It's in the message itself. The nation as a whole, or a majority of the nation in the last several presidential elections doesn't like it. They're tired of it, and they want something different. And until the Republicans figure that out, they're going to keep running into the same wall.
Well, yeah. Now, absolutely. We've talked about how these people haven't called it, the Republicans, the Republican establishment. You and I are going to disagree on whether the message is bad or how it's delivered. But the bottom line is there's something wrong. and with the Republicans. They need to get, you're absolutely right. They need to get it straightened out. Well, that brings us to the close of another show. You got any gigs going on this week?
Not this week. We got that show in Altoona on August 23rd. I am going to be playing at an event for Ed Bull, our good friend Ed Bull, down in Pleasantville on the same day. But other than that, just get out and do some fun stuff. I mean, we had the John Butler Trio here this past weekend. There's a lot of stuff going on in Des Moines if you know where to look. I'm sure that somebody that hangs out around radio personalities has a band that she wouldn't mind plugging every once in a while, so go check them out. And you'll have to forgive me. And I know
Blue Velvet, is that it? What's the name of the band, Jen? The Spartan Blue.
Because I had the old band's name in my head, and I knew because I'm good 60% of the time. I knew that band had changed some personnel. So get out there and do some stuff. It's beautiful.
It's
we got
summer,
the fair.
for crying out loud.
We got the fair coming up here in a couple of days. Make sure that you get to the fair one of these times and get some butter on a stick.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I want to thank our sponsors again, Halo Capital, Bertrosian Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, and Des Moines Anesthesia. We'll be back next week. Check us out on docandlefty.com. We have a YouTube channel. You can watch us live off of docandlefty.com. You can check our old blogs. We'll be having new blogs this week. Even if I have to drive down to the south side and force Lefty to listen to hard metal.
I'm a lover. I don't like slasher metal.
Yes,
I just don't like it.
So we'll be back next week. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.